I was thinking about it while I was watching this episode. I'm like, this is the perfect show to put on while I'm doing something.
Isn't that the Disney mandate or like the Netflix mandate? It's like second screenable.
You really don't have to pay attention to what's happening.
No, because they'll explain things multiple times.
And the way people speak as well. Like I noticed it a lot when the cop was coming to talk to Fisk.
Are you familiar with Taekwondo? And then they cut to Muse and he's like, I studied Taekwondo when I was young. Wait, no, sorry, I competed in Taekwondo. They always say competed in Taekwondo.
How familiar are you with Taekwondo?
Did I ever tell you I used to compete in Taekwondo?
So you competed in Taekwondo?
I competed in Taekwondo because they made me.
Taekwondo coaches.
Do you still compete in Taekwondo?
Does that sound cooler than did Taekwondo?
Yeah, because you can like be like a hobbyist, but if you like compete in it, I guess
makes
it's
you
kind of
sound
cool.
cooler.
It makes you sound cool. You got the edge.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, I get it. He did Taekwondo. They really wanted to explain how he could fight Daredevil.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes like to my comment last week where I'm like, Muse threw like a perfect spinning back kick.
Yes, struggling artist trained in Taekwondo
Taekwondo. There you go. By a live-in Korean Taekwondo master.
for 3 months, which is a weird little bit of writing that Stephen pointed out to me. It sounds a lot like he only studied for 3 months. The way they talk about it, they never mention a time frame, but the only time frame they do mention is
after 3 months he died.
Yeah, he mysteriously died after 3 months, which sounds like he started at 16, Cobra Kai'd for 3 months, got insanely good, and then killed his master.
I mean, did they say he was insanely good? Like, they didn't say he was like a world champion.
I guess no, they only said his master that he killed was insanely good.
Yeah, and you can kill any Taekwondo master with a gun or a knife. But I mean more like that conversation Fisk has with the cop, it's like fucking pulling teeth. She like says half a line and he's like, well, wouldn't that make this happen? And she's like, well, that's what we thought. And then it's exactly like a pitch meeting.
Yeah.
She's like leading him on, like they're just playing, like he's like he has to draw it out of her and she's like drip feeding him all this information. It's hard.
It's the structure of that whole section that absolutely mutilates the episode.
On a whiteboard, it works really good because they're like, as the cop is describing it, we're seeing him talk to the therapist and we're going to bounce across, but they execute it really badly.
Yeah, I guess that's what they thought, but they did it in reverse because the cop comes to Fisk immediately after we see this guy that we haven't seen since like episode 1, and suddenly he's there, and then she walks in and she goes, this is our guy, Bastion. And it's like, oh, okay. There's no reveals, I guess, because she's just stating exactly what's happening in the other scene.
Yeah.
Even if you're an absolute idiot and you didn't realize that the random guy that they showed in episode 1 that has suddenly appeared again in this episode is the bad guy. Also, did Daredevil not land any punches? This guy has like no mark.
A lot of padding maybe in the suit.
In the paper
The
mask.
blood is really like refreshing for his skin.
So just the back and forth there was so messy and no reveals.
There wasn't like a shoe drop moment. It wasn't like, he was Muse the whole time. It was like you introduced this character and then it was like you explained that it's Muse. We didn't see him working with Vanessa at the art gallery trying to sell his pieces.
There is nothing.
We didn't see him a couple of times and be like, that guy is weird, but like he like has some kind of tie to someone.
Yep.
And then you find out information about him through the dinner with Vanessa or something like that. You find small bits, and then when the cop profiles him,
You put it together as they do.
or you see the picture or something, you know?
Literally anything. Or like, I mean, even if it's obvious and you know it's him, having it at least shown through us more than just one scene where he talks to a therapist and then this episode he rocks up obsessed with the therapist.
He's really
There's nothing that's so obsessed, which having just watched season 3, that's Dex's storyline. Dex was kind of obsessed with his therapist because she kind of raised him as a kid and then he put everything on her, looked to her for guidance, and then she died and she says, you need to find a North Star. That's why he latches on to Julie. Basically, this is just TEMU Bullseye.
Yeah, but they're allowed to repeat the storylines because a different company making
Born
the show.
Again?
Because he's born again. It's a retelling.
Because they had it and then
It's a
they just did it again.
reimagining.
That's what this show is. There's zero build-up to Muse as a character. I actually was like defending him last episode, being like, no, look at him. He looks cool as shit.
Struggling artist.
Not the best fight, but like the way he moved, the way he did stuff. He was creepy. The way they shot it, I loved the way they shot it. And then this episode, he's like a fucking incel. And he's like, please, like, I just want to play with your leg a little bit.
That's my problem as well, is I think they had to make Muse creepy because at first it's like, you kind of feel for him. He's like a weird kid. His parents had a lot of pressures on him. He wants to do art. All artists are sad depressos, at least the ones I know. AI's taken over the world. AI's taken
Muse
over
is
their
worried
jobs.
about AI confirmed.
Literally. But then I'm like, oh, you know, he's like really in a hard place. I'm trying to like hold on to him as a character. And then she says something to him and then he like kind of grabs her leg and like starts massaging it. And I'm like, no, now like if you die, there's like nothing, like you can't even be like, his message was right, you know, because now he's a rapist. Is there anything else?
Have you ever heard of subscribing to Bergenbeard?
I'm more of a fan of PewDiePie.
How familiar are you with Taekwondo?
I like boxing.
Maybe in the original edit of this show, like the original shoot, maybe we did see him a lot, and maybe that would have made us actually, I don't know, be a little bit endeared to him, even though he obviously is a psychopath. You see him for 3 seconds in episode 1, he's a psychopath.
Yeah, he's like, can you please help me, Heather? And she's like, I'll help you. And then that's all you see of him.
And it's like, oh, I wonder if this guy's going to get obsessed with Daredevil's girlfriend.
That scene, he's not the important part of the scene. The next person who comes up to the table is Fisk's.
But they both feel so dramatic that you were never even like, you never disregarded the Muse actor. You were immediately like, oh, that's the masked guy that comes up in the show. There were a few people that were like, oh, it's Buck. They were both so obviously like, these are the characters you need to pay attention to. There wasn't even anyone drip fed in there as like a red herring. There's no mystery in this show. If you watch season 1 back, they don't even talk about Fisk or Kingpin for like a few episodes. They at least make Wesley be like, oh, my employer. Oh, the boss.
What did you think of Kingpin's weird rant about how Daredevil brought down my legitimate business?
His blue-collar business.
My blue-collar millionaires.
That was so weird.
Even the dock workers were making millions.
I was on board. I'm like, okay, it's a bit like someone remembered vaguely what Fisk was like, and they're like, oh, he monologued, so we'll just give him that.
Buck knows that it was a criminal empire, you know?
He's lying to himself.
And Buck's like taking more of a stance as like a mayor assistant. He's like, that would be an abuse of power if you like did this to bring out vigilantes and like make Matt's life hard.
Which was the woman's job. She was the one that was like, you have to be the mayor.
Yeah. I feel like they should have both been in the scene and they should have been like bouncing off each other.
On her shoulders.
Yes, he should have been like, you could make his life really hard. And she's like, that's an abuse of power, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, as in like she knows what he's like, but she's like, you shouldn't. Yeah, so that seemed so strange. I was like a bit on board. I was like, okay, we're doing a Fisk monologue. It's fine, whatever. It did make me think of the fact that the new showrunner that they fired the old guys got this guy. He was like, yeah, we didn't really like the original version. It was too much people talking in rooms about like their philosophies. Cut to this show, that's all it fucking is.
All it's been.
I don't know whether he just wasn't able to remove it. But like, you could have removed all the Kingpin stuff from this episode. It would have been nothing in this episode, sure.
The only part that I liked is the very, very, very ending shot where he holds up Muse's mask and he's like, I told you I would protect this city, and I did. And then he has like a weird like, he's like forcing a smile. Like,
yes, that smile made me love him. I think he might be more autistic in this show. When he's talking, he's
he's been shot in the head. So. Yeah, he has been like...
Yeah, he's
Vince,
like,
relax, man. We can't keep you all in frame.
You're too big. I'm not mad at it. I like the portrayal. He's a fantastic actor. But the smile was incredible. It made me very happy.
But I mean, that was the only important Fisk scene that we needed.
Yeah, well, then he starts talking about the dock workers, and it's like the way he was talking made it sound like he was doing it for other people. When he definitely wasn't in the original, at least.
Yeah.
He did always fall back on the whole, like, I'm doing it for the city. Sure, we never saw how he was doing it, but, like, that was more of an excuse than anything.
But I guess, like, he's remembering it in his perfect world, how he imagines it.
That's what they want. It still feels...
But I guess in his world, he's kind of like in Invincible, the guy who takes over, like, downtown. It's like...
Tombstone, but not.
Yeah, I'm still doing crime, but, like, look how safe it is, you know? It's like...
I get what they were trying to do. I just don't think it came across that way. Maybe if you didn't know the original show... Like if you hadn't seen the original show and you just see this guy that you're like, oh, he used to be a mob boss, but you're like, oh, he was one of the good ones. Like he's like that. Then maybe, but it still just felt weird.
Yeah, we have many hours of these characters.
It's also weird that for most of the monologue, it's not on Fisk. We're seeing Buck for like more than half the conversation. And it's not like he's reacting or like giving anything back, really, because he's a pretty stoic character. It's not destroying his worldview or like it's not changing Buck in any way. Buck knows all this. Buck's just being told it again. So to focus on him the whole time makes me wonder how many of those sentences were like Frankenbites, where he's taking a bunch of different words and putting them all together. A lot of this episode isn't on camera, a weird way to phrase it. But Heather in the bedroom at the very beginning talking to Matt, he's basically being distant because he's just become Daredevil and he can't quite accept it. And then she's like, I know you miss your best friends. You know, those two people that were called Foggy and Karen when you worked at your old firm.
Well, they're old friends. Foggy and Karen.
Kinda.
So I'm like, that's really weird editing.
Yeah, I hate that you brought that up to me for episode 4.
It's gonna,
because now it's very noticeable.
And it is one of those things where maybe if you don't know, you don't know.
Or maybe it's just shot weird. You know, maybe there isn't a meaning.
Speaking of
it.
things that are shot weird, that fight scene, it wasn't badly choreographed, but it was incredibly...
it was badly choreographed. There were parts where...
I think it was just badly shot, though.
Daredevil, he ducks a kick, but I think he was half a beat too early, and then Muse still throws the kick, and then he comes up. It was really weird. It was like almost like he was waiting for timing.
Okay.
You know, it felt weird, and it was also, I think, not bad. I think it wasn't helped by it being so brightly lit in the room. Daredevil fights work better when they're silhouettes.
They are used to hiding it.
Yeah.
The two major things that stood out for me in that fight, there's a moment where Muse goes to grab a knife to, I guess, maybe throw it at Heather or something like that, but it's immediately after getting absolutely shit kicked by Daredevil, and then he, in slow motion, like sits up and looks around and then grabs the knife, and it cuts to Heather, and then she's moving. It's slow-mo, but it's not that slow. And then I had to rewind it because, is it still called rewind? Or do kids say skip back?
Oh.
Because nothing plays backwards. Things skip.
You're not rewinding. And also there's no winding.
Yeah, there's
it
no
comes
winding.
From the winding.
When I skipped back...
When I double tapped the left side of my screen a couple of times.
I had to skip back because what happens is Daredevil kicks the absolute shit out of him and then kind of just stands there like behind Muse in the frame while Muse does all these things.
Before he shoots the pole?
After, I think.
Just after?
Which I think was added in the new re-edit. I think they tried to punch up this fight scene. So I think they've added a lot of things, like a lot more blood, of course. I think the shot through the arm didn't happen. I think it might have wrapped around him or something in the original, like, more PG Disney Marvel style.
Yeah.
Another thing I think they added to make it edgy and punchy was the fucking slit.
Yeah.
I think that was in post, because that was a super close-up. And then just before she shoots the shit out of Muse... just after, they zoom in on her arm to show, like, this is why she's passing out. The reason I think that's added later is because it matches none of the dialogue that anybody says. Okay, I don't know if any of your friends or anyone you know has tried to commit seppuku.
Edgy kids say down the street, not across the road.
Exactly. She doesn't scream while it's happening. She's just kind of going,
She doesn't say anything during. Before, she goes, Muse, please no. Also, does anyone else work in that building?
Almost as if a needle was meant to have stabbed into her, like the way he drugged Little White Tiger. And then that's why after she shoots him, it finally like kicks in and then she passes out.
Also, that's how he extracts people's blood. We see him use the big like syringinator.
I guess because he laid down the canvas, it was more immediate. But like you would assume he wouldn't mess up his flow. That's how serial killers work. Like that's their whole thing.
Yeah. I hated this part where he was like, I know what you're thinking. Can I make it to the door in time? It's like, you're standing above her. She's not thinking, can I make it to the door in time?
But that's also just the most cliche, obvious line. Like, that's like an edgy first draft, which is really funny to me because I saw people on Twitter being like, that's the hardest line I've ever heard. I'm like, ugh.
Shut up.
When she's passed out on the floor and the task force comes in, the guy with beautiful eyes, like, kneels down.
Captain Caramel.
Kneels down to check on her pulse and see if she's alive. And he says,
someone stabilized her.
I need an evac. It looks like someone stabilized the victim. I looked at her arm. They didn't bandage it. Her arm is still open. Daredevil, in 3 seconds, did not stabilize this woman. And then in the hospital, Matt says, the doctor said you only have a few minor lacerations. I can take you home. And it's like, it was from top to bottom, my guy.
Yeah,
things just don't match. I think they would have been better off maybe just keeping season 1 the same. I don't think any of the additions or cut they've made have made it better. I think they've just kind of hurt it and made it flow worse.
Yeah, it made it sloppier. Yeah.
Like Captain America Brave New World. At some point, that was a movie, but then it just became like a fucking shit show of every little thing going on.
They had to make a way to make the reshoots kind of fit.
And in this, the newest info I've heard is the next 2 episodes are completely reshot.
Wait, that's good then.
That's why it's so much Bullseye and Punisher, because that's all the shots we've got from the trailer, which was like a good chunk of the mid-season trailer, is these last 2 episodes to get people hyped. So the task force is coming after Daredevil and Frank for some reason. I guess because they wear Punisher logos now. Frank's pissed.
Well, he's a vigilante. So
doesn't wear a mask though, so technically Fisk should just
there's a loophole there.
Back the fuck off. Everyone knows he's Frank Castle, therefore not a vigilante, just a bad guy probably. It just feels like all they did was kind of just mess this up, and I don't know if I would have liked it more. I did like episode 5 one of the most. A lot of people hated on episode 5. For some reason, that just did it for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the bank one worked for me better because it had a beginning, middle, and end. It was like, hey, look, someone's going to do something and it's going to end in something. And there's no real faff. It has some very cringe, like Disney Marvel humor with the whole Kamala Khan stuff, but it was cohesive. It made sense. It was
its own contained story inside.
And it was interesting. It's like, hey, this superhero that everyone underestimates in his normal everyday life has to work his way through this bank heist.
Yeah, Daredevil can't save the day. Matt Murdock has to save the day.
And it's like, and he doesn't want to reveal his identity to everyone.
That's what I was saying to Steven. That episode worked really well. If it was a one slaughter in like a 20 episode season,
That one was definitely like almost 100% remnants from the previous with a couple of $1.8 million lines added, which they also give to Vanessa in this one. Off screen again, Vanessa makes sure to say, and that $1.8 million you owe to Luca. But let's talk about Vanessa.
Interesting.
Do you think she actually did betray Fisk?
QUEENPIN? There's only two ways it can go. She's either doing this to prove her loyalty to Fisk or to finally be done with him. And I don't know, it's hard. They haven't built her character well enough.
They haven't built fucking any characters, and we'll talk about that next.
But it's like, people will say like, no, you can tell from the therapy sessions and stuff that, I don't know, is she happy that Fisk is away from the business?
We thought she was coming back around last episode because of the whole sexy talk on the bed and like, oh, the more Kingpin-y you are, the wetter I get.
I don't know which way she's going to go. And I guess the showrunners are using that to their advantage because they can do either way, and either way I'll be surprised. She can either be like, I sent Luca there for you. Or he'll be like, thank you for sending Luca around, as he like gets home and takes off his suit, and she'll be like reading a book. Like from behind a book, she'll be like, you're welcome, or something. Or we'll see her next episode be like,
because it felt like a setup, the whole Buck hiding in a dark corner and Luca taking really long to shoot and Vanessa not being at dinner with him. Like that does feel very setup-y. But it kind of proves nothing.
You can see Fisk obviously having a bodyguard that's always prepared, but with the silencer already on his gun that he like unbarrels, so it's almost like he knew that he was going to be doing a murder.
And he's got his back turned.
I think this is my guess, Vanessa but actual betrayal, but Fisk is one step ahead because he's been in the game before.
That would be a very Fisk thing to do. So I kind of hope
And then I think in the end, we're going to get a season finale or whatever, mid-season, regular season finale of she's in the cell next to Adam. If you want to be with Adam so badly, live with him, and like throw her in the cell next to him.
Kingpin for me, he hasn't done any mayoring.
Nah, he saved the city, dude.
He dealt with a little bit of red tape. Like, I don't see a Fisk journey here is what I mean. I don't see why he wants to be mayor to begin with. I think that's very much because the comics did it. They want to do it because it's topical with the whole America thing. But he dealt with some red tape, and it kind of felt like for the first few episodes it was building, and he's like, okay, I was wrong. Red tape sucks. I'm going to go back to my own ways. But he hasn't done anything. As mayor, he's just done a couple of like showing up to events, as in to part of his journey, showing like, hey, being mayor isn't what you thought it would be. It's actually not.
A lot of just like face obligations.
Yeah, politics isn't real power. Real power is the rich people behind it, which like the conversations he was having. Which again, he should already know that he was one of the rich people controlling the politicians.
Yeah, if anything, shouldn't he have been to those meetings before?
I wouldn't be shocked if the mayor was in his pocket.
Yeah.
He went from having the mayor in his pocket to now being the mayor, but having less power.
I think they're doing his story a bit backwards. How it should have been is he's Kingpin, but he wants to cut even more through and have even more control. So he's Kingpin and mayor at the same time. He has all the power in the city, but instead he's jumped all the way over and he's just being mayor. And then we're going to see him miss how much power the Kingpin character had.
Yeah.
And then he's going to bring the Kingpin character into his mayoring. But I think he should have brought the mayoring into his Kingpinning. Two big character differences, even though it's the same ending goal.
I can kind of make more sense of it if we go with the whole Echo made him a good boy. And that way he wants to be mayor because he wants to do Kingpin stuff, but he knows killing is wrong now.
Yeah.
And then we could see him like slowly fall into that. But the Adam and Vanessa stuff is probably from the new cut. meaning that Fisk was more just dealing with red tape and getting annoyed at things. Because a lot of this episode did look different. Like that Fisk monologue was shot fairly differently to some of the other scenes we've seen with him. So I'm wondering whether that is one of the new things. I'm so interested in what the original cut was, and I need someone to like rebuild it and like find out what the new stuff is. But yeah, so Fisk is just a disappointment overall. I don't know if we have anything nice to say about anything. We should talk about Heather. We did skip over a little bit of Heather's story.
My problem with Heather, and look, I've known a woman or two in my life. No woman just walks into the shower with her hair down, okay? Unless it's hair washing day. That's very rare to catch that on camera. She's going to have her hair up. It's going to be in a little bonnet. You're telling me early morning she's going to wash her hair before work? With the frizz? She has a perm, by the way.
And she's so horny that she doesn't mind all the new cuts, lacerations, and blood pooling like, in the bottom of the shower. You're like, he kissed me. That's it. I'm done.
Read Braille on me, man.
Touch my face. She's still very bare bones to me. She probably has the most development in this episode, and it's kind of just worried girlfriend, and then she therapizes him a little bit because, hey, remember, she's a therapist.
I'm like, what is she saying? I'm like, what's this mumbo jumbo?
And I think she's not really saying anything. Yeah. It's words.
I mean, it's weird because we don't really have a good time frame. They want us to think that they've been together for a while now, even though they only met like 3 or 4 episodes ago.
He called her sweetie.
He said, I love you. Look, I understand Matt's being very dismissive, but I think he's not doing Matt Murdock any favors by how dismissive he was being to Heather about this. She's like, you're bottling a lot of trauma up. It's not very. He's like, I fully understand that. Thank you very much.
She also gets over it super quickly too.
Yes, that's not very therapist girlfriend. If anything, she should be slowly changing a little.
And this is the first time she's like thought about that.
Yeah.
Like, but then he touches her face, and I'm like, that's such a weird thing to show me because I know that that's what blind people do. Matt Murdock wouldn't do that because Matt can already see her, which means in that moment, is he playing a part and being like, oh, I know that blind people do this, even though I've been able to see my whole life and have no reason to do this. I'm going to touch your face because we're going to need that later. That's a clever hint for later. And I'm like, that's so strange because like he used that on Karen because he was actually playing a part there and because it was him flirting. He doesn't so much need to flirt anymore.
He knows or he's worried that she's going to be onto him and his suspicious behaviors. So he needs to be like, I need to ham up the blind guy for her. So he's like, my glasses.
We're definitely overthinking that and making excuses because the reason is because we need to show him later touching paint and realizing that her face, but shrunk down and drawn
and 2D
and brush strokes.
He can't feel the brush strokes.
This was some fat paint. This was some...
I mean, blood. Maybe.
It was blood. It would have been blood. Yeah, so that's some coagulated...
Great detail.
Chunky boy.
The stalker guy got her proportions,
He's
shapes,
a really good artist.
Ridges and valleys. Human faces are more than just like... It's like the distance of the cheekbones, the dentations.
If he can compete in Taekwondo...
He can compete in art.
And kill a master, he can compete in art.
Very true. Dude, why are you buying your canvases from the place that they can track your canvas sales?
The fanciest canvases ever that only 11 people in the city bought.
There's only 2 stores and only a handful of genuine Taekwondo masters in the city.
It's a Venn diagram of people that buy expensive canvases and Taekwondo masters. And he's like, God damn. Even the fact she brings that up, actually. Yeah. Just to go back to it. I'm talking to the mayor, right? About the serial killer.
I would have just led with, we have the guy. It's Bastion.
Anyway.
Thank God they brought the negotiator in. What was her actual role?
No, she was filling in for the negotiator.
She's chief of police for downtown.
Yeah, because she's the reshoot lady from the first episode. Like, that's why she's really
funny.
Here. Holy shit, she doesn't share a scene with anyone in episode 5. That could have all been reshoots.
She's like all off camera, like next to a van.
And it's voiced through the radio. So they could have just dubbed her voice.
Very true.
There could have been an original just police guy. And they're like, no, we're going to cut her in.
The Irish guy doesn't say anything specific.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't even in that.
Okay, there's a very weird thing. I'll just hop on it very quickly. The relationship between Matt and Cherry. So Cherry, his detective little guy.
Detective little guy.
His little detective fella. I don't understand their relationship fully because
or what his job description is.
It was baked into the show. This friendship was like there and we just had to believe it. Cherry's like, what the hell? Daredevil's back at it again. And Matt brings up a very good point. He goes, the cops, he's killed 60 people. The cops couldn't find him. Daredevil found him in one night. and I got him.
In fairness, that is stupid that he found him in one night because he went off little white tiger's tips. But yes, it's very much like, why are you so mad, bro? I stopped a serial killer.
Cherry's like, you can't be doing this. And then Matt says something along the lines of, well, you didn't have a problem with it when it was the other way around and I was giving you tips.
Because that's his retiree party, which was in episode 1, which is when he was still Daredevil, meaning he really was just like a complete replacement of Foggy's friend, who his mum, he used to buy the mum cigarettes.
Yes, yeah.
So they made...
You need to stop buying cigarettes, man.
They made...
I can't help it.
It's so fucking likable. Everyone in that goddamn show. Fuck. They've replaced that guy with Cherry and then also made Foggy's replacement also Cherry, because in the relationship, Cherry knows that he's Daredevil and like doesn't want him to be Daredevil anymore, which was Foggy's like 90% of Foggy being like, dude, we're lawyers for a reason, please stop punching everyone. And then occasionally like, all right, you have to do this, like, fuck.
Seeing him come in like almost dead every single day.
And he's like, I can't keep doing this to you or myself.
Story.
Good show.
I'm like, I don't need this shit.
And you know who's even less developed than Cherry?
The DA.
McNaffy.
We couldn't escape BB in this episode either.
Oh, random BB.
Well, there was a tiny little bit of BB on the street footage.
Daredevil came through that window. Here's proof. And then Daniel's like, damn, BB, you're the best reporter ever. All the real newspapers listen to you, right?
As soon as she came in the scene, I was like, little D'Onofrio, what the fuck are you doing? And then I'm like, no, I kind of like this, that he's trying to
Fisk.
He's trying to prove his like loyalty as well to Fisk by like, we're gonna have this journo on the inside.
He's just done nothing. Like pretty much everyone in this show has done nothing. I think Daniel being more of a stereotype has really helped him. It's given him a lot more to grab onto, whereas pretty much everyone else is paper thin.
Every character, and I don't know, even Matt at times is, I feel, spread too thin of a character. I'm not getting enough genuine Matt.
Well, we have so much Matt in the show, but no Matt in the show.
I like the way this man thinks.
I have no problems with an episode where there's no Daredevil action or whatever, but it's like you need to give me something good to grab onto.
Like I feel like in episode, the throwback to like episode like 2 where they had the apartment fight and it was like Matt fought the cops.
That was the most Matt.
It felt like they had to add it in.
Yeah, that initial stuff, like his faith came into it. Like there was more there. I didn't love it, but there was something. Whereas they seem to have forgotten about Matt in his own show. Wait. So all we liked in this whole episode was Fisk smiling weirdly at the end.
And we got to see Daredevil in the suit.
Yeah.
It went so quick.
It was about 35 minutes.
Nothing really happened in this episode. Level with me, and nothing.
Last week's plot happened in this episode.
Yeah.
They should have doubled these. Like, they doubled last week's weirdly, although I guess they couldn't double this week because otherwise he gets the shit kicked out of him, he runs away, he gets the shit kicked out of him, he dies.
Yeah, very true.
So that's why they split these two up.
I told you, I made this prediction. I said the cops were going to do it, but Muse showed his face one more time and he got glick-glacked.
According to the news, the cops did do it. Maybe if last week was like episode 3 or something, and it's like he suited up one time, kicked the shit out of him. I don't know. These episodes should not have been next to each other.
They could have put the bank episode between these two.
Yeah. That's like not enough happened. He has a reason to not be like hunting him because he's dealing with something else. Because every other episode is not really doing anything like that has to be done now. And it was very, very funny to me that people were like, yeah, we're getting some courtroom stuff. Woo. And then like he hasn't even mentioned that he's a lawyer.
Oh, dude. I missed the lawyer stuff. I think I want to rewatch season 1.
Watch all 3.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
Yeah, do it. Yes, let us know what you think down below. I know a lot of people do love this show. I don't understand it, but you're allowed to. That's fine. You can do whatever you want. I'm not your mum.
Maybe I am.